The Eclipse IDE for C or C++. Now, chances are you may be someone starting off with programming. You want to check out C or C++. Maybe you're like me, you're a computer science major, and your professor told you one day to download the Eclipse IDE so you can run and write C++. Let me just tell you, whoever told you that, whoever said that, be careful. They may want bad things for you. This IDE is terrible. You do not want to use the Eclipse IDE. It drops a lot of files. For some reason, your executable will get destroyed. You'll look at your code and wonder why. Why doesn't Hello World say something? Why isn't it printing out? And then you realize some way, somehow, a folder or a file got eaten up by the abyss. I have no clue why Eclipse is so garbage with C and C++. And yeah, it's pretty decent with Java. So I definitely recommend that you go ahead and just download MinGW. You might have to download this for regardless, whether you know it or not, to get the C and C++ compiler. And now, don't worry, when you do it this way, this is anything that's like a workaround or trickery. This is pretty much, if you want to say this is the purest form of compiling the program, you're not going to get anything that will conflict most of the time with your program. And you just download MinGW, get set up. I don't even know why I'm showing this. Who doesn't know how to download something? If you're writing C and C++, I don't know. You got to be able to know how to download it. So once you download it, once you install it, this is the MinGW installation suite. I believe they explain this on their site. They have a lot of things on their site. And basically, whatever you want, just go ahead and download the bin in the dev. There's also a document. There's also a manual. But as you can see here, the bin package provides MinGW implementation for the GNU C++ language compiler. You install that, bada bing, bada boom. You're pretty much ready to write C++. You can also do C, but you'd have to install, the C library and the C compiler. Now, if for some reason you try to write C or C++ and it does not work, chances are your path is screwed up for some reason. Sometimes that happens. And in order to fix it, go ahead and go into Advanced System Settings, Environment Variables, go ahead down to Paths and System Variables. And I know there's a path up here too, but you want to go down here to Path and System Variables. You want to click on Edit, you want to click on Edit Text, and you want to make sure that this little snippet is right here, MinGW /bin. It has to be there. Your path basically is something that when you go to run the program, it goes to the path. It says, where should I go in order for this to run? Go to MinGW /bin. That's where you find the magic to make this program run. Now, here's a little bit. If you never used the path before, it's pretty simple, but there are some things, two things really. If it's at the end, whatever you're typing, if it's at the end, just type it out, no big deal. If for some reason you're typing it in the middle, you must put a semicolon. You have to put a semicolon. It's basically like a line break. It lets the computer know, hey, this is separate from that. They're not together. You and I, we're independent, this, that, and the third. So once you have your path set up, everything should be good. Everything should be grand. Now, you're pretty much ready to compile and run C++ or C. So go ahead, go to CMD, the command prompt. And this may look a little daunting if you've never used a command prompt before, but it's really, really simple. I guarantee you that. It could be complex, but what I use it for is very simple. So as you can see here, C users aid, that's where I am right now. The highest level of folder or file would be root. And, just for context, let's say we go to cd users /abe, and let's go to my desktop. Alright, takes me to my desktop. This is my actual desktop, You go here, I have desktop, run.cpv, output.exe, and if in the CMD I want to see the files, you put dir. That shows all the files that are in the current directory. On Linux, you use ls. On Windows, you use dir. So here you go. You got dir. So I got desktop, output.exe, run.cpv, boom, boom, boom. So this is basically how you go to the directory you want to go to. If I wanted to go to desktop, instead of, putting the backslash, I could just go to desktop. You know what I mean? It's pretty much the same. And then to go back, I don't know if it's like, no, it's actually not like that. So let me go ahead and do that. CD, users, /abe, /desktop. Alright, so it's not like Linux where you can go back where you can do cd dash. I learned something new today. So go ahead and dir, wherever you have your file. As you can see here, I have a very simple run.cpp. It's a C++ program that simply Outputs, heed my warning. Eclipse will black out the sun with pain and sorrow. It's not a joke. You really should not use Eclipse unless you're like masochistic and hate yourself. So let's go ahead. You're going to do G++, whatever the name of your program is, and the file extension, run.cpp. If for some reason, as you can see here in the CMD, it's no problem, that'll pop up. Sometimes when you use Windows for the first time, it may not say run.cpp. You actually have to, go through settings and change it and show, the file type. Go ahead and Google it, watch a video. It's very simple, but I'm not going to go over it right now. You're going to do -O, put the output where. I want to put the output to a file called output2.exe because there's already output 1 and I just wanted to make a new file. Who cares? And if you click dir, you'll see I have output and I have output 2. Go back to desktop and magically output2.exe is there. And now in order to actually run this and see what happens, all you got to do is output2.exe. And that's it. Heed my warning, Eclipse will black out the sun with pain and sorrow. That's it. It's that simple. If you go to their website, I believe they explain this also. Yeah, first time users how to, blah, 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 G++, hello world, blah, blah, blah. There's help and there's info on their site. And I definitely recommend that you do use the CMD. Just as something if you're worried about, if a professor told you to use Eclipse. My professor told me to use Eclipse because he was going to test the C++ files on a Unix server or a Linux server, Unix, that's, whatever. And a lot of times students would use Visual Studio or Code Blocks, and they have certain libraries that are specific to Windows, so they're not going to work in a Unix environment, so that's why he told us to use Eclipse. This way, you're not using any OS-specific libraries unless for some reason you go out and look for them and download them and use them. It's very, the only way you can make that mistake is if you want to make that mistake. So you don't really have to worry about any crazy Windows-specific libraries with this. This is literally it. Just a text editor. There's Notepad++. You could use Windows, crappy, WordPad, Notepad, whatever. Save it to wherever you want. Compile it, run it, and then you could hand it in or just use it for compiling the program. I definitely recommend you use it. Eclipse, like I said, is pretty good with Java. But even at this point, I use CMD with Java as well. Java C, Java, blah, blah, blah. It's faster, cleaner, looks nicer. A little bit. If you're on Linux, obviously, you have Bash also, so you can do, different things with the output. But for the most part, I really recommend you do this, whether you're new or a computer science major, especially if you're a computer science major. You definitely want to do it this way, because eventually you're going to use Linux and have to use the terminal, and that's something that, you learn to use with Bash and you use with other programs as well. So, simple, easy, and it actually works.